it's nice because I'm at my Shabbos table, a couple friends across from me, and thankfully they're, I think they're from the Sephardic traditions. You're Syrian, right?
Yeah.
And where are you from?
Iraqi.
Iraqi. Nice, nice. So no greater time to be with Sephardic Jews when we have such great Middle Eastern news. Got our flowers that I bought my wife for Shabbos. And the news is the death of Nasrallah. I don't even know his first name, but I'll just call him Nasrallah. And Hassan. Okay, I guess he was engaged. And anyway, y'all think that's great news, and probably is. You know, we're clearly seeing the. I mean, we took a huge hit on October 7th to get the new position we're in that we haven't had for many, many years. I don't know when the last time Israel got to have this level of security where Gaza's basically been leveled. The southern Lebanon's on its way out. You know, like, I mean, we had a big sacrifice to launch ourselves into motion to create the stability that this kind of a military advantage would mean. And but it's a shame that Israel is so wimpy that they need an October 7th to create security. It's like, what kind of government would wait for October 7th to create, you know, strategic upper hand, you know? I mean, that's just stupid. But whatever. Israel's relying on a lot of other forces, I guess, for their day-to-day sustenance, which is also, you know, a bit of a shame that to rely on such things. You know what I was thinking in Netanyahu's speech last night was that, you know what he should have said? He should have said, he should have done tshuva for Israel relying on the United Nations. You know, he gave that speech Friday. Did you guys hear any of that speech in the United Nations? So he just roasted them. I mean, it was terrible. He was calling it a swamp. In the United Nations, he's calling the United Nations a swamp. And it's a speech worth watching, at least the last 5 minutes, where he's really going at it. He's really going after them. But what he should have said, in my opinion, was that we, the Jewish people, have to do teshuvah for having even given the association that we required the UN vote in 1948 to be a state. Meaning the longest statehood of any country in the history of the world, the ultimate, like almost one of the first city-states in the history of humanity, doesn't need the UN to be called a state. You know, Israel doesn't need, you know, maybe the United States needs the, just hit the off. United States maybe needs it, the United States maybe needs the UN to be called the state since they took it from the Indians or whatever, you know, from the Native Americans. Maybe they need the UN for that. But the, oh, you can answer it, shut off, that's better. Yeah. So, but Israel, he should have just said, what an embarrassment that we even thought that the UN has anything to do with us being a state. You understand? So here he is in the UN building, calling them a bunch of monkeys. But Israel itself used the UN as like some kind of, you know, like as if we needed them for it. And of course the UN didn't do anything to help us. We wound up not even getting Jerusalem for 19 years. Meaning in 48, the British left all their weapons to, you know, it's like the US leaving their weapons to the Taliban. The British left their weapons to the Jordanians in Israel after the UN vote. So it's like, what's going on here? Like, why did they get the weapons? And Israel, who were defenseless at the time, had to fight a war that wound up losing major tracts of Israel's territory, including Jerusalem, only to get it back in 1967, 19 years later. You understand? Like, that's just thanks for nothing, you know? And maybe that's all part of it, like waiting for the UN to declare something. Who cares what they say? But meanwhile, one is I just gave a perspective that's just going to get everyone angry on this celebration of the death of Nasrallah. I always find it strange to celebrate the death of people. Obviously, this one's not as distressing to celebrate because he's responsible for the deaths of so many people, and it's clearly an evil man. But let's see what the men of the Great Assembly, King David, and and our sages say about the death of our enemies. Let's start with Vilamalshinim, which has to do with Jews as well. But it says that, at the end of it says, Baruch Atah Hashem, shoiver oivim umachnia zaydim. Break our enemies and subdue the evil Jews, meaning any Jews that are evil, they should be subdued. Didn't seem that anyone died here. What do we say then? The Zaydim, that's Jews. They should be cut off, okay? Haters of your nation. Let's skip ahead to King David here. And we got King David saying like this. He's saying that the tzaddikim, the chassidim, should be happy in their honor. They should have joy in their beds. I guess what that means is no anxiety. When's the last time you went to bed with joy? We go to bed thinking, what's tomorrow? What's tomorrow going to be? But they will be happy in their beds. The praise of God in their throats, with a double-edged sword in their hands. So this is how they're going to bed. What's the sword for? The double-edged sword? Lasot nekama b'goyim, to give, to exact vengeance against the Gentiles. Tochechot b'leumim, and rebuke. First of all, it doesn't say what the vengeance is, but and tochechot b'leumim means rebuke to the nations. Listen to this. Le'esor malchim b'zikim, to take their rulers and tie them up with handcuffs. V'nechbadehem, and all their ministers and stuff, they're like top people. B'chavle varzo, they should be also with iron, they should be, tied up. Lasot behem mishpat kosim, that there should be justice. That was written about what will happen to them. So again, no one gets killed here. No one's getting killed. They're all just watching. They're all just watching. Like they should see. They should see. So it's like, but the Malshinim, no one gets killed. Here we got King David talking about no one getting killed. Let's flip ahead to the Torah itself. And you go into the Torah itself, and it says the Song of the Sea. When the Jews had their experience of, they come through the splitting of the sea, and then the sea covers up all the Egyptians. Okay, there they died. For sure the Egyptians died there. But listen what it says about the nations of the world, that are many of whom have been really at our necks, out to get us all these years. Shamu Amim, the nations will hear Yirgazim, and they'll be freaked out, meaning they're going to be flipping out. They'll be like shaken up. And fear will grasp those who live in Palestine. Palishas. They should be afraid. In anxiety. As then, Nivahalu, there will be great upheaval, meaning like really lack of well-being. For who? The Alufet Edom. That's the leaders of the West. The leaders of the West should be, like losing it. Like Bahala means like you're just losing it. They should be losing it. Ele Moab, those of Moab, that's down by the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. Yochazemu Ro'ad, they should be grabbing, it's like they're grasping trepidation. Ro'ad means also to shake. They should be shaking. No mogul kol yoshvei Canaan, that the hearts of those in Canaan, this area, Israel, their heart, they'll melt, like they're gonna melt from fear. No one died. No one's dying. But there's no death here. And now we finally get rough. Kipul aleihem amos of a fachad. May there fall upon them dread and fear. Bigdal zaracha, make great your strong arm, God. Yidmu ka'evan, and turn them into stone, meaning like they can't even do anything. Yidmu is Lashon dome, means they should become inanimate, like meaning they can't even respond because they're like stone. Ad yavor macha Hashem, till your people Hashem. Ad yavam zukris, until your people pass over, I guess, to redemption. The people that you have, acquired, meaning the Jewish people. Anyway, what I'm basically saying here is that we see throughout the prayers that we're not that interested in wiping them out, but rather we are interested in their recognition, them being stopped in their recognition in the greatness of Hashem, which is kind of interesting, because it's, I don't want to spoil anyone's fun, and certainly Israel's in a big celebration over the death of this arch-evil terrorist leader, Nasrallah, but I'm not sure the Torah is so into it. On the other hand, we see Moses killed Og, and like they knocked out kings on their way up the Transjordan. It seems that there was plenty of that. King David killed a lot of people in his warrior years. So much so that he had too much blood on his hands to build a temple, meaning to be like the one who finished the temple, to do the Hanukkah Bayit of Yerushalayim. That had to be Shlomo Melech. King David had too much blood on his hands. So we see they do it, but we also see that it's not great. It's not great. And what we do want is for the world to witness the greatness of Hashem. And who greater to witness the greatness of Hashem than their leaders? To just be like totally befuddled, like just to freak out on the fact that how wrong they were. And it's very interesting that the Arab world is split now with their relationship to Israel. It's really interesting. And I wonder how they got that. Is it a Shiite Sunni thing? Like Sunnis hate us and Shiites like us, or Shiites like us and Sunnis? What's Saudi Arabia, Shiite or Sunni? You don't know?
I think Shiite.
I don't think you should be guessing, but you guys got a smartphone here, so you could ask which one it is, but is it, if you want to shut sounds like Sukkah building is getting going here. Anyway, that's on the subject of that. It's not. All I want to say was it's not 100% clear that we're supposed to be killing these people. This guy for sure should be killed because we're not at the period of time now. We're not at that point of history where evil people get to like watch Hashem's wonders. I mean, we either wipe them out or we're going to get killed. Someone's going to die, either them or us. So this is definitely time to wipe them out. But a greater Torah perspective is that, like Pharaoh. Pharaoh got to witness the whole thing. Like, shouldn't Pharaoh have been assassinated? You see that God never sends an assassin. Moses never sent an assassin. It was to be witnessed by Pharaoh. To, blow everyone's minds. And I really believe that we're I don't know if you heard my class the other day, but I was talking about how Jews shouldn't feel so bad about us being in such disarray as a nation, because we're pretty out of it. Even the best of us who are like doing our best to do a good job with serving God and mitzvahs and Torah study. Even those of us doing our best are like really doing a pretty lousy job. And so then you got all the Jews who are completely off of the Jewish path, so it shouldn't frustrate you, because we're really part of a much bigger picture called Kiddush Hashem, which is probably why our sages, and it's men of the Great Assembly, and Moses and King David, are less talking about the death of our enemies than they're witnessing the greatness of Hashem at the end of days. Anyway, that's what I want to share in this little piece. Shkoyach.